श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम ओम सुखं नित्यं स्वप्रकाशं व्यापकं नाम रूपयोः अधिष्ठानं बुद्ध्यबोध्यं बुद्धेर्धृत्यत्तु निर्मलम् अपारं सर्ववेदान्त वेद्यं प्रत्यक्परं महः तदेवाहं न मत्तोऽन्यत् इति मे निश्चिता मतिः. So yesterday we saw that the duality has no space and no scope. See, when we are awake, we see the world of duality. When we go to sleep, we don't see the world of duality. If the duality is real, then it should be experienced at all points of time. How dangerous it be if we can't go to sleep also. So that is where we go and rest in the self. The Shastra says, like the bird which is on a boat, on a ship actually, in the middle of the sea. So suddenly it tries to run away from that ship, goes this side and that side, finds no shore, so comes back and stays in the same ship, take rest, and then go back to the world to find the shore. Similarly, we also wake up, go, and come back to our place for rest, the self for rest. So, these things establish the duality to be not real. That is our experience. If you want to use inference, I already told you yesterday that if duality is real, what is duality? One being different from the other is what is duality. A different from other, B is duality. So for establishing A to be different from B, we have to understand what A is. We have to define what A is. Then we can go to B. Again, we have to define what B is. I already said we don't have to confuse about the B. If you define A, that is good enough, because similar class you can differentiate it from. That is also duality. So the definition for A itself, any object itself, is impossible. That is what Khananakara did. Our own experience, we say we think that we know the world, but we are superfluously living in the world without understanding any of these things. I gave an example of what a chair and what a table is. When you take any of these objects, any object for inquiry, you will understand we don't know what we are talking about with respect to that very object. We understand, we say, okay, this is this person, and we treat that person and we deal with that person. But are we really dealing with that person? No, we are dealing with an image of that person in our head. Because we have decided this person is going to be like this person is like this over. The decision, the idea is what we are dealing with, not with the person. So this is true for everything here. So duality has no scope here. That is what we wanted to say. So here now in 229, he is saying Bhedavada Tiraskara. The topic is a negation. Tiraskara means refutation, giving up of the duality. Is the talk of duality. Now you will expect a lot of refutation how this A and B are not and all that, but he is not getting into all that. He says Jainadi Matavat Veda Bhashyataya Prachina Maharshi Vachana Virodhacha Vedavado na Pramanam. Jainadi Matavat, like Jainas, etc., their school of thought, Jaina, Buddha, etc., their school of thought are not following the Veda as their pramana. They don't accept Veda as valid proof. Okay. Prashi and one, they are not accepting the Veda as valid proof, therefore they are outsiders. Not just that. Prachina Maharshi Vasan Virodacha. There is a contradiction with the great rishis, the words of great rishis. The idea these people are presenting is in contradiction with the ancient rishis. Therefore, Bhedavado na Pramanam, the world of duality is the talk of duality is not valid. It cannot be established as valid. Okay. But how do you say it is not valid? So instead of getting into the nitty-gritties, he says, Astikya Vishaye Bhedavada Khandana Yuktinam Pradarashanam Na Apekshitamiti Krutva Sa Bhedavadaha Shrutivachana Viruddha Ityeva Pradarshate. See, there are two schools. One is Astika, the people who believe Vedas as the valid proof. The other is Nastika, the people who don't believe Vedas as valid proof. So we are not in the other group. We are in the group which believes in Vedas as a proof. Now he says, see, for the people who believe Vedas as proof, Astika Vishaye, for people who believe Vedas as proof, Bhedavada Khandana Yuktinam, the logic, but to establish the impossibility and improbability of duality, Pradarshanam, to show that, to display those logics, na apekshitam iti krutva, is not expected. They don't want that. They are not interested in the logic of a refutation of duality. Then, because they are people who believe in Vedas as valid proof. Therefore, Sabedavara Shrutivachana Viruddha Ityeva Pradarshate. Therefore, we are going to present the Vedic testimony for refutation of this duality. We are not going to get into the logic of refutation. We are going into the Vedic statements of refutation of duality. Kathopanishadi. In the Kathopanishad, a very beautiful Upanishad. Bhedavasana Bhaya Hetuhu Sarva Dukkha Nidanam Tataha Sa Vasana Duri Kartavya iti Mrityuna Nachiketa Upadishta. Beautiful. See, he is not saying here, what are we talking about? We are talking about duality. So he should have to say, duality is the cause for fear. Duality is cause for all the sorrows. Duality should be removed, should be distanced away from us. That is what he has to say. He is not saying Bheda Bhaya Hetuhu. He says Bheda Vasana Bhaya Hetuhu. The thought imprints of duality is the cause for fear. Then Sarva Dukkha Nidanam. It is the cause for all the pain. Tataha sa Vasana. Therefore, that Vasana, not duality, because duality is not real. The idea of duality is what is you are handling with. So that thought imprints Duri Kartavya should be distance away. Iti Mrityuna Nachiketa Upadishta. So this teaching is given to Nachiketa, a young boy, by Mrityu, the Lord of Death, Yama himself. So here the important point is the thought imprint is what is the cause for, like we said, Srishti Drishti. We have an Srishti Drishti, and we saw Drishti Srishti. We have an idea. We have an idea, that is what we are projecting outside as this and that. So he is saying that Vasana is what is to be negated. Okay, how? Tasmad Veda Vasana Sarvatmana Manaso Nirmulam Unmatniya. Therefore, the thought imprints of duality should be completely Sarvatmana, entirely, in totality. Manaso Nirmulam Unmatniya. You have to uproot it from the mind. You have to throw it away, destroy it completely from root. Satatam Advaita Nishtha Abhyasaniya Shreyorthina. And see, only when you uproot the idea of duality from your mind, you can be established in the self. Only when you are practicing the establishment of self, you can get rid of the world of duality. So that is why he says, by getting rid of this, a person who desires greatness should always practice this non-duality to be established in that non-duality. Tata hi shrutayah. These are the Shruti statements. Mrityo samrityamapnoti yah iha naneva pashyati द्वितीयाद् वै भयं भवति अन्योऽसौ अन्योऽहमिति अस्मीति न स वेद यथा पशुरेव देवानाम् उदरमन्तरं कुरुते अथ तस्य भयं भवति. Some statements from the Upanishads, different Upanishads, Katha Upanishad, Bradhanika Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad, etc. मृत्योः समृत्युम् आपनोति यः इह नाना इव पश्यति. Yama says, Lord of Death says to this boy, Mrityoho mrityum apnoti, they will go from death to death. Who? One who sees Nana Iva, as though duality. Nana Iva. One who sees duality, that is how he should have presented. But he says, even the as though duality, the seeming duality. Why? Because the duality is not real in the first place. So, one who sees that seeming duality, he is going to go from death to death. Okay. Dvitiya vai bhayam bhavati. Why do you say that? Because when there is something other than you, when there is a duality, whoever that may be, you are put in fear, or the other person is put in fear. We spoke about this in Sadhana Panchakam introduction. I explained in two different class in this center. So we said, who is God? What is Vedanta? We were discussing on what is Vedanta. While discussing on what is Vedanta, if it is a religion, then what does religion mean? Religion means it accepts some supreme power, some superpower. What is that? Who is he dependent upon? So when you start inquiring upon all this, then you will understand if he is different from, he or she, that supreme power is different from us, and we are different from that power, then we are afraid of that power. We are not in love with that power. We cannot say, I love God. That is a stupid statement because we are afraid of him. It is not just that. He is going to be afraid of us because you are different from him. Therefore, you are encroaching his space. You may park your car there. There will be a problem. So, who will he complain to? He cannot dismiss you because you are his creator. He cannot censure you because you are his creation. This is all big problem. So he says that fear, any person, see, it may not be a person. That is why Eva, you have to remember that Eva. You send the kids to the next room. Even in daytime, if it is an empty room, kids are afraid. Why? They see that Eva duality there, ghost. We are all old enough. Have we seen ghost in our life? But still we believe in ghost. The thing is that Eva is what is creating all the problems. So, anyo aso anyo ahamasmiti nasaveda yatha pashureva sadevanam. You can say, yes, Guruji, I have seen ghost where my husband, my baby kids, or my wife. You will come to that later. The point is, anyo aso anyo ahamasmi iti nasaveda. One who thinks he is different and I am different. Whether it is with people or with the creator, Ishvara. When you see that duality, nasaveda, that person does not know the truth. Who is he? Pashureva sadevanam. He is just a cattle for the gods. What does that mean? You have a cow in your house. What do you do with that cow? You feed it. You feed it with grass and goodies. For what? For not for the love of the cow. You want milk from that cow. So the gods will feed you goodies so that you worship that god. You propitiate that god. See, you give milk, I give food. That is a business transaction between these two people. That is why he says Pashureva Devanam. He is like a cattle for the gods. Udaram antaram kurute atasya bhayam bhavati. Udaram antaram kurute. Udu aram. Even a little bit of, even an iota of. Udaram is not stomach. Udaram is a word which also refers to stomach. If you differentiate between two stomachs, like they have a proverb in Tamil, whether it is mother and daughter, mother and son, still the stomach is different. The mouth is different. So that is not what is meant here. Even a little bit of, even an iota of, even a wee bit of duality, if you see, you have fear. Atasam cha ayamartha. See, he gave all the statements. Now he is giving the meaning independently, separately. Ya iha paramatmani pratyak bhinne trivida paricheda trivida veda shunye nana iva. Iva shabdad avidyamanam eva vedam pashyati sa mritva mritva punar punar jayate. Ya iha, one who sees duality, duality between whom and whom. Paramatmani pratyabhinne, between the absolute self and the individual self. We are not talking about the duality between one another. One who sees the duality between the absolute self and individual self. Is there no duality? He says, Trivida Paricheda Trivida Bheda Shunye. What is this? This absolute self and individual self is devoid of all the three kinds of duality, all the three kinds of limitations. The three with a paricheda means three kinds of limitations. We know the three kinds of limitation: space, time, causation. Three kinds of limitations: space, time, causation. That is absent there between the absolute and individual self. Okay. Trivida Bheda Shunye. There is also not these three kinds of duality. What are those duality? Swagata, Sajatiya, Vijatiya. There is no duality of same class, different class, or in itself. So, Nana Iva, as though duality, that Iva, he says, Iva Shabdat Avidyamanam Eva Vedaha. By adding that Iva, the Shruti very clearly says that the duality is non-existent, but still when you see that duality, Pashyati, when he sees that duality, Mritva sa mritva punarjayate, he is going to die and die again and die again and be born and die again and be born and die. He is going to be in the cycle of birth and death, which is what we call as samsara. He is not going to exit this samsara. Dvaita abhinivishtasya sada bhayam eva chinmatra swarupat pruthak nyeyatvena dheyatvena vavastwantram asti iti manvana pashuprayah. Dvaita abhinivishtasya, for a person who is attached to this duality, sada bhayam eva, he is always in fear. We are always in fear. We are basically good people. The problem with us is this fear. This fear makes us feel jealous. This fear makes us feel afraid. This fear makes us feel envy. We, with this fear, makes us to do all the stupid things which we are not really. It is all because of the fear, nothing else. Fear is the basic. The root cause for all this is fear. So, afraid of that, we do all sorts of stupidity. So, he says, Bhayameva, Chinmatra. What is the fear? Cause for fear. Chinmatra, Surupa, Prithak Nyetvenidhyetvanava Vastu Astra Vastiti, Manvanaha. He thinks That there is some other object, some other entity different from myself, which is conscious being. So, as something to be known, Nyetvena means something to be known, Dyetvena means something to be meditated upon. Thinking that there is something else other than me, Chinmatra means the conscious principle, the conscious self, the conscious nature. So, other than being conscious nature of conscious nature, there is something, me, the conscious nature, there is something that exists which I have to meditate, which I have to worship. This idea, Pashu Prayaha, when one has, he is like a cattle. Because cattle also expects that. Cattle also thinks, oh, my master is there. I have to make him happy. You also do that. He is afraid. Cattle is afraid. See that Pashureva Devanam, he says here. In Brahma Sutra, Bhashya, in the introductory Bhashya, that too, Bhagavan Bhashyakara says, Pashubhishcha Avishesha, that is the Sutra Bhuta Vakya, that is a simple statement, small statement. Pashubhishcha Avishesha, people are not no different from cattle. What? Yes. He is explaining his own sutra. He says, like if you see, if a cattle sees a person with green grass, it will run towards him. If it sees him with stick, it will run away from him. This is exactly what we do. Are we any different from cattle? Whatever we want, if the other person is offering us, we run towards. If the other person is offending that, if he's offending that, then we run away from. Simple. We are cattle. What? We may call ourselves with sixth sense and eighth sense and all that. We are basically cattle. So, anumatramapi bhedam bhashyato mahat bhayam bhavati. So, even an iota, even an atom-sized duality, not even big duality, even an atom-sized duality, if you see, then you are going to have not atom-sized, it is disproportionate. If you see an atom-sized duality, you are going to have a huge difference of a fear. Huge fear. Atom-sized duality, huge fear. Big problem. दुःख निदान भूतो भेदवादः श्रेयोर्थिना सर्वथा विस्मर्तव्यः. Therefore, a person who desires to gain the greatness means the inherent nature, the self. That person should Vedavada, this world of duality. What is world of duality? It is the cause for pain. It is cause for sorrow. That he should have to sarvatha vismartabhya. He should have to always sarvatha, always vismartabhya, forget. He should have to forget this duality always. Dvaita vachanam yavad anusmaryate tavad advaita sakshatkaro nodiyat iti adrishti namakam shishyam guru upadidesha. This final line, underline it. Dvaita vachanam yavad anusmaryate, until and unless. Dvaita vachanam is the statements of duality. Yavat, until, anusmaryate, you remember. Until you remember the statements of duality, the idea of duality, tavat, till then, advaita sakshatkaro na udiyat, you will not gain. Udaya means to manifest. The immediate knowledge of the self, advaita, non-duality, self. So the immediate knowledge of the self will not manifest, will not be gained. Until we have this idea of world of duality, you cannot gain the self. This is what Adrishtinamakam Shishyam Prati Guru Upadidesha. This is what the Guru taught to this disciple called Adrishti, the second disciple. Okay. Now, what is this? How can an imagined, we know the imagined fear. In fact, fear is imagined. How can that be? So, for that, he is giving fear is imagined. I tell you again and again. In the very beginning, I asked this question. I don't know how many people remember. This is the one of question which I always ask when I am going to give a free lecture. I ask, what will you do if God appears in front of you? Remember that. So everyone will say everything. World peace, money, this, that, nothing. You will run away from him. That is what will happen because we don't have the strength to face God. That is the truth. You can say, I love God and all that. That is stupidity because you are afraid of Him. You will run away from Him. That is the truth. So, the whole thing is this fear. Fear for whom? For an imagined form called ghost or God, whatever it may be. So, is the fear real? Because the object of fear does not exist. When the object of fear does not exist, how can there be the knowledge of that, whatever related to that object? That is not real knowledge. There is, we saw this knower, knowing, object, knowledge. Knower, knowing, there is no object, but you have the knowledge. This is the beauty. So, how can that knowledge of fear be real? That is an imagined fear. This is the same with everyone. Okay, I got rid of my fear that day when I was afraid of this ghost calling my name in front of me, next to me. I was doing japa till then. I woke up. I thought somebody's calling. I closed myself with this thin a sheet. I covered myself because I was afraid. I said, "What? Who will come to my room? No one. It's open always. Who will enter the room at this time? What will happen?" Okay, it's going to bite because we have seen enough vampire movies. It's going to bite here and it is going to suck the blood out and you are going to die. You are going to become a vampire or zombie or whatever. Finally, that is the only thing, right? Okay, let us face it. Okay, what is the end result? I'm going to die. Let us see. So when I was ready for death, my fear got lost. There is no fear. There is any more no fear because I am ready to die anytime. So this is the only thing because all the other things are based on that death. That is also an imagined thing. We don't know what death will bring us. We are afraid of death. Let us suppose we fast forward to the state after death. Let us suppose you go to a place which is better than this place. You will be cursing yourself. I should have died 10 years ago. Why didn't I die? I should have not even, in the moment I was born, I should have died. I could have enjoyed all this 10 more years. We don't know what death brings. So we are afraid. Fear of unknown, fear of what we don't really understand is always there. That is what is fear. Imagined. So, to explain this, 230 to 240 avarta, he says, Drishtantena Raja Amatya Bharchu Katha Prastavaha. Through an example, he is bringing the story of Raja Amatya, a minister to the king. Raja means king, Amatya means minister. A minister to the king called Bharchu. His name is Bharchu. Okay, his katha, his story is presented. It's a beautiful story. We can relate with this story. 230. Bharchoho swadhikarat bhramshaha. Bharchu loses his power. Whatever his power was, he loses that. His position. Bharchu loses his position. Hey Soumya, dear, Guru tells his disciple, dear, Dvaita Vachana Anusmaranam Dridhatara Prachina Advaita Anubhava Samskara Janya Amati Dridhatam Api Advaita Smritim Pratibadnati. Dvaita Vachana Anusmaranam. We already said the thought of duality is an obstacle for the knowledge of non-duality. So that is what he says. Dvaita Vachana Anusmaran, remembering the world of duality, remembering the idea of duality, is a Dridhatara Prachina Advaita Anubhavahita Samskara Janya. Mati Janya Mati Dridhata Dridhat Api Advaita Smrtihi Pratibadnati. Pratibadnati means it will be an obstacle. It puts an obstacle. Obstacle for what? Advaita Smrti. This memory, this knowledge of non-duality. What kind of non-duality that is? Dridha. Very strong knowledge of non-duality. Inherently, we all have a very strong knowledge of non-duality because that is our nature. But we are putting an obstacle by bringing this world of duality. So that is why Pratibadnati, it puts an obstacle. Obstacle to what? The strong idea of non-duality. Why? How can you say it's strong idea of non-duality, knowledge of non-duality? It says Advaita Anubhava Samskara Janya Mati. We have this experience of self. I don't have the experience of self. Every day, that is why I gave an example. Every day in sleep, we rest in our self. That is rest in peace, actually. Self is a peace, and in that peace, we are going to rest. Death is not rest in peace because Shine Punya Vartyaloke Vishanti. We keep repeating this again and again. When the Punya or Papa is lost, you come back. You have to come back. But this, you go to sleep, you don't know the world of duality. That is what is peace is. The moment a thought arises, the peace is destroyed. That is why he says, Dridhatara Prachina. This is a very old samskara. See, what is that? When I was trying to remember some name yesterday. I could not read it properly. I could not remember it properly because the thought imprint is not strong. But I can remember somebody from 10 years ago or 50 years ago. I remember because these thought imprints are very strong. So, when compared to the thought imprints of duality and compared to the thought imprints of non-duality, which should be stronger? The thought imprints of non-duality, because it exists even before the thought imprint of duality came into existence. That is the substratum, right? But still, this thought imprint of duality obstructs the thought imprint of non-duality. The experience of non-duality, thought imprint, not thought imprint, the experience of non-duality. So, Tattva Sakshakaram Duri Karoti. And it not just puts the obstacle, it distances you from the immediate knowledge of the self. Iti Upapadayitum. To show this, Kanchana Katham Prastomi. I am going to present you some story. Bharchu Katham Guruhu Shishyam Prati Kathayati. Iti, by saying this, Guru explains the story of Bharchu to the disciple. What is Bharchu's Katha? We will see this. Asit kasyachit rajnyaha Bharchur nama pradhana amatyaha. In some king's kingdom, there was some king. In his kingdom, there was this person called Bharchu, who was his chief minister. the head among the ministers. Okay, good. Such a Swa Ayatikrita Sakala Rajya Karyo Abhavat. And he was expert in managing all the duties of governance. He has everything under control. He had great respect and love for the king, but he had, for the love of the king and kingdom, he has taken care of everything in proper way. He's a duty bound person, not selfish. That is the idea. He is doing it as with a self or duty. Okay, now, but even though a person does something with a sense of duty, the others around will not see it with the sense of duty. So what happens? That is it. Tasya prabhavam drishtva itare raja upajeevinaha tasmin irshya sanjataha. Tasya prabhavam. See, if naturally, let us see. This Bharchu is a very efficient person. He is taking care of everything. So when he does that, everyone, I have a problem. Oh, let us ask Bharchu. Oh, you have to meet Bharchu. He'll get rid of this. He'll find a solution. Everyone is talking about him. Now, Prabhavam Drishtva, his prowess, seeing his prowess, Raja Upajivinaha, the other people who are also living off the king, his ministers, other ministers, Raja Upajivinaha, Tasmin Irshya they started having this jealousy. Irshya means jealousy. They started envying him. Okay, natural. Tathapi. Still, Rajnyaha Nirtishya Premaspadi Bhutaya Bharchave Na Apakartum Ashan. See, if they start having this envy, they will start doing all the nonsense to disturb him. But even though they had envy, they were very careful because Rajnyo Nirtishya Premaspadi Bhutaya Bharchave. This Bharchu is an object of great love for the king. King loved him a lot. Therefore, na apakartum ashakam. They didn't even think of creating problems for him. Okay. Tada. Te sangi bhuya. So what will they do? They have to bring down this fellow somehow. Because we are not happy if someone is in higher position, whichever thing is. So either there are only two ways. Either you should have to work hard to go to that position or above that position. That is very difficult. The easy is to bring him below you. So that is what they are doing. Te tada te sanghi bhuya. They all came together. Sanghi bhuya means they all grouped together. Bharchu nirasana upayam alojya rahasi. They started discussing a means to bring down this virtue, to discard this virtue. Rasi tad rashtrasthanan dasyun lunthanaya preraya masuhu. Then secretly, the enemies of the kingdom, they started sending them to disturb the peace in the kingdom. Okay. Dasyabhi luntite rashtre raja rashtrasya sah upanatam upaplavam shutva sabham sammelya tatrasthan mukhyadhikarino dasyu vidravanaya viyojayamasa. These thieves are stealing from here and there. Now, dasyabhi luntite, when the thieves are stealing, rashtre in the kingdom, raja rashtrasya sahasa upanatam upaplavam shutva. So the people in the kingdom, they are troubled and they come and complain to the king. Hearing this trouble of the people, Sabham Sammelya, the king organized meeting with his court, his people. Tatasthan Mukhyadhikarinah. And in the court, there are some important people. So with them, with those officers, Dasya Vidravanaya Niyojya Masa, he started finding a way to get rid of these thieves, this problem. Te sarve sanghivuya, but now we know the other officers are against this virtue, and they were the people who are plotting behind him. So what do we expect from them? Te sarve sanghibhuya rajanam evam avochat. They all came together, they all grouped together and told king this. What did they say? Swamin, O Lord, sada bharchur bhavan shlagyate. You always praise virtue. Apatkalecha asman niyojyati. And in times of trouble, you put him in front to solve the problems. Kim iti aso bharchuridanim na niyojyate. Why don't you send this Bharchu now? You always put him there to solve all the problems. Why don't you send him now? Iti. Shrutva etat Bharchuhu Sanjalihi Rajanamaha. Hearing this, Bharchu with folded hands told the king, Swamin, Lord, Idi Ajnapyate Tad Tarhi Aspineva Kshane Gatva Ripun Jitva Agavishyamiti. If you order me, that very moment I will go and destroy the enemies and come back. Simple. He had a clear plan. Go, destroy them, come back. He says that Agamishyami, I will come back, I will return back. Iti. Tarhi. Tatsiva kriyadamiti Raja Bharchum Ajnapayan Chakara. So the king also, okay, let it be so. Take care of it. He sent him. He gave him order. Bharchurapi Takshanameva Shatrun Vidravya Rajye Sasyadikam Samrakshya Sarvesham Kshemam Atanot. And Bharchu, as promised, he went there, destroyed the enemies, protected the grains and cattle from them, and Sarvesham Kshemam Atanot. He brought the well-being for all the people who were troubled. Okay. Till now, everything is going fine for Bharchu. Bharchoho Jayam Shutva Itare Rajapurushaha Yuddhe Bharchur Mrutaha Iti Rajanam Avedaya Masuhu. Now, these fellows who sent Bharchu there, they know the news now. Bharchu has defeated the enemies and he is a person with victory and he is going to come back. This is going to put them in even more bad position. So, after hearing the news that he won, they started spreading the rumor that Bharchu died. They started spreading the rumor that Bharchu died. This minister, he died. Okay. Iti Rajanam Avedayasu. And they told the king also that Bharchu died. Poor fellow. He fought very valiantly with the enemies. What to do? Every time you cannot win. Anyway, we are very in great sorrow for you, king. You lost your all the drama. Viveka Vikalaha Raja Tesha Velika Vachanam Vishpasya Bharchusthane Teshu Anyatamam Niyujya Tasmai Shikhi Shivika Chhatra Chamaradi Viruddham Cha Kalpayamasa. Viruddham Cha Kalpayamasa. Now, Viveka Vikalaha Raja, this king who does not have any brains, to okay, what happened? Go and find. No, he didn't tell anyone. He trusted them. Velika Vachanam Vishpasya, this falsehood. Velika Vachanam. Velika means false. Falsehood. He trusted this falsehood. And Bharchusthani, in the place of this Bharchu, the chief minister, Teshu Anyatamam. Among them, one person Niyujya. He placed him in that position. And not just that. Tasmai, to that person who is installed in that position of virtue, he started giving Shivika, Chhatra, Chamra, etc. These are all the ornaments for a person with power. An umbrella, a person to fan him, all those specialties, he gave all them. Okay, these are all ornaments, Birudam. He gifted him with all that. Okay. नूतन मंत्री यथा भर्चुर न राष्ट्रामागच्छेत यथा च राज्ञः स्वप्नेपि भर्चुर्ज्ञानं न स्यात् तथा उपायशतैः संविधानम् अकरोत्. And this new minister, he is a very cunning person. So he made sure that Bharchu does not return to the kingdom. And even in dream, this king should not think of that Bharchu. He made everything in such a way, it all goes like that, goes according to his plan. Now, 231. Bharcho Sanyasa. This is actually, we call blessing in disguise, right? This is what is blessing in disguise means. They thought they are going to destroy Bharchu, but they are actually helping Bharchu. This is what we have to see. The little obstacles of the world, we try to fight against it so much. Okay, it's okay. But we should have to see that these obstacles are, in fact, a stepping stone for us for greatness. We have to see that. In God's creation, they say, if he closes one door, he keeps the other door open. First, God makes sure he gives you a choice of keeping the other door open. And then he closes this door. Always there is a choice, you have to remember. That is what is truth. Always there is choice. Okay. Now, Bharchuhu Akhilam Imam. Bharcho Sannyasa. Now, the renunciation of Bharchu. Okay. Bharchuhu Akhilam Imam Nyatva Evam Achintayat. Bharchu, after knowing all the things happened around him in the kingdom, started thinking so. What did he think? Na idani mama raja nikatam gantum uchitam. It is not proper for me to go closer to the kingdom, because they'll kill me. Yo aham arogena dridhena gatrena avikalaihi indriyischa sampannaha sarvabhoga upakarana bhariteshu ramyeshu harmyeshu nivasan swa lavanya avadhihi avadhirita apsarobihi kaminibihi anavaratam ramamanaha divyan bhogan bhunjana eva kalam etavantam anayat. So he starts thinking about his state. He says, I, one without disease, with a strong body, and with all the limbs intact, have experienced all those beautiful things in the world, with all the beautiful, the damsels endowed with all the beauties. So I was experiencing Ravamana Divyan Bhogan Bunjana. I was experiencing all that divine pleasures which is possible for a person in my position to experience. And I spent all these days till now experiencing them. Tasya me marananta vipad idanim apatita. So now I am in a position which is pushing me closer to death. Whatever, when you face death, whatever situation you are going to face, that is the situation I am in. Dhimma murkham yantam kalam bangureshu bhogeshu nimagnam. So a person who is drunk or a person who is facing his death, will understand his real situation. The person who is drunk will speak without thinking the truth. The person who is facing death will think about his own nature without hiding anything from himself. He may not tell others, but he will not hide himself from all these mistakes he did. So now this fellow, he sees death in front of him. Everything is collapsing. Whatever beautiful palace he has built, the position and power and all that, it is all collapsing in front of him. Now he sees that. The dream world collapsing in front of him. He sees that. And he says, Ding mom, fie upon me. Murkham, me who is an idiot. Yandam kalam bhankureshu bhogeshu nimaganan. I was immersed till now in those experiences of sense objects which are tertiary, which are not impermanent. Those impermanent experiences. Matsamaha ko anyosti mudaha. Who is an idiot like me? इति एकांते स्थित्वा याभिः मोहितः एतावन्तं कालं श्रेयो मार्गात् दूरीकृतः अभूत् तासाम् अङ्गनानां प्रत्येकम् अङ्गना अमात्यन् प्रत्येकम् अङ्गानाम् अत्यन्तम् अशोभनताम् अतिजुगुप्सावतां दारा अपत्य धनादीनाम् अधिक दुःख निदानतां च भूयो भूयो अनुचिन्तयन् भोगात् विरतस्तपस्वी संबभूव. Beautiful. मत्समः को अन्यो अंधो अस्ति मूढ़ः. Who can be an idiot like me? There is none who can be such an idiot like me. What happened to you? Yes, ekante sthitva. Staying alone, he started thinking about what? Yabhi mohitaha etavantam kalam. By whom he was deluded till now. Whom are you talking about? Shreyo marga duri krita. Not just that. They just didn't delude me. They also kept me away from the greatness. Who are they? Angananam, those beautiful damsels. Pratyekam Anganam Atyanta Shobha. See, when you say beautiful damsels, the men or women, whatever, you see a part of them to be an object of beauty. Now, each of those parts, he is seeing that and not be attracted. He says, whatever that was, Shobhanata, whatever that is beauty there, he sees ati jugupsavahata. It is something which is to be a dirty thing, kind of. No, what kind of deed did I do? How can these be beauty? How can I call these things beauty? This he'll go on to how he understands that. He'll go on to explain that later. But what are we talking about? Wives, kids, wealth, and all the other things. They are things which led me to lot of pain. This he was thinking again and again, and with this thought, Bhogat Virataha, he got dispassionate from all these experiences and became tapasvi. Tapasvi Sambhava means he became a renunciate. He became a person of austerity penance. 232 to 239. Bharchoho Vairagya Varnanam. Explaining the dispassion Bharchu got. Bharchu being a male, he sees a female body as an object of a distraction. So, a person, we saw already in the beginning, a person who is female should see a male body as an object of distraction and the errors there. Okay, now he says, Paradhina seva dukkha hetu ekante sukham. 232. He says, serving under someone is cause for pain. Staying alone, secluded, is a cause for happiness. Dana Vichitra, it is not staying alone in a village or forest. It's not that. Even among people, being not attached to the things, that is what it is. If you are going to stay alone in the forest without having this kind of clarity, you will go mad because you are used to talking and discussing and meeting people. If you are going to stay alone in a forest when without meeting anyone, you will go crazy. So here we are not talking about that. We are talking about a person with maturity, person who can stay alone, aloof among the people. Nana Vichitra Rasaihi Su Upajya Shalya Anna Shaka Dadhi Grita Payasa Apupadi Aneka Prakarehi Annapanadibhi Triptim Anapannam Imam Jihvam Etavantam Kalam Vrutha Poshitavanasmi. So he says, see, with different kinds of food, soup, soup, then it's not just soup, it is the vegetables. No, I am not talking about the food, I am talking about the one which he is talking about, the soups, the clarified butter, the salads, the food, the other vegetables, the sweet meats. Apupa is a sweet meat like your gogosha, no? Gogosh. It's similar to that. It's apupa. So in Hindi they call it malpua. Okay. So these different kinds of food and drinks, I try to satisfy my tongue, the taste bud, but still it never gets satisfied. Triptim Anapannam. With I have served it all the different kinds of food that are possible, but still it does not gain satisfaction. And until now, I was trying to satisfy this stupid tongue, wasting my time. Vritha Poshitavan, I was nourishing this tongue which never gets satisfied till now. Okay. Itah param na tatha imam jihvam pushniyam. I am not going to nourish this tongue, encourage this tongue with all these kinds of foods. No, I am not going to encourage it. Kshudam shamitum kimna santi vane vividhani kandamula shakafaladini. Is there nothing in this forest that will satisfy my hunger? See, what you eat is for your stomach, but instead of it filling your stomach, we are more interested in satiating the taste buds. Now, is there no food here available which will satiate my hunger? Yes, there are vegetables, root vegetables, kandamula. There are root vegetables. There are other vegetables and fruits in the branches of the tree. So that is enough. Pipasa and drink. Pipasa upashamanaya kim nasanti vimalaha saritas tadakanicha. And is there no water in the pond or river for satiating my thirst? Is that not enough? Okay, that is enough. Pure, that too, Vimala Jalaha, pure water in the pond and river. Is that not enough to quench my thirst? That is good enough. Nivasaya, and to stay. Harmya talad, api atishayitaha, vata, atapa, varshadi, anupadrutaha, guhaha kimna santi. And for staying better than beautiful palaces. I have, don't I have this cave which protects me from the rain, the sun, and the other difficulties. Pradeshamatra udarapurnaya kim anaya shvritya rajasevya. Just to fill this stomach, which is pradesha matra, means just the size of a finger, thumb, and the pointing finger stretched. This is called as pradesha matra. Just to fill this portion of my body. What is this kind of dog job? Shvavritya means dog job, serving the king. Why am I working like a dog for this king? Just to satiate this, I have enough food and water and place to stay here happily. Why should I serve this king? Mama idani matravane prithvi shayya bahu upavarho kandamoladini aharaha nirmala udaka pana patram nirmala udakam panam panapatram cha anjali deva. And for me now, this earth is my bed, and my hands and shoulders are my pillow. The root and fruits and vegetables here are my food, and the pure water is my drink, and my hands are the vessels. What better vessels can I have? Whenever I don't need to search, I have vessel. You don't have to store them in your car and have the area blocked. You have everything. So he says, Tathacha Uktam Bhagavate. This is what is said in the Bhagavata Purana. The same idea. We'll see this. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om विदिताखिल शास्त्र सुधा जलधे महितोपनिषत् कथितार्थ निधे हृदये कलये विमलं चरणं भव शंकर देशिकमि शरणं करुणावरुणालय पालय मम भव सागर दुःख विधुनहृदं रचयाखिल दर्शन तत्त्वविदं भव शंकर देशिकमि शरणं भवता जनता सुहिता भविता निज बोध विचारणा चारुमते कलयेश्वर जीव विवेक विदं भव शंकर देशिकमि शरणं भव एव भवानि ते मे नितरां समजायत चेतसि कौतुकिता मम वारय मोह महाजलधिं भव शंकर देशिकमि शरणं सुकृते जिकृते बहुधा भवतो भविता समदर्शन लालसता अतिदीनं मिमं परिपालय मां भव शंकर देशिकमि शरणं जगतिमवितुं कलिता कृतयो विचरन्ति महामहसश्चलत अहिमां शूरिवत्र विभासि गुरो भव शंकर देशिकमि शरणं गुरु पुंगव केतन ते समतामयता मही कोपि सुधि शरणागत वत्सल तत्त्वनिधे भव शंकर देशिकमि शरणं विदितानामया विशदैककाला न च किंचन काञ्चनम् अस्ति गुरु द्रुतमेव विधेहि कृपां सहजां भव शंकर देशिकमि शरणं भव शंकर देशिकमि शरणम्